We are back after a week hiatus. I went to a music festival and my hotel had absolutely nothing for service. It was rough, but we're here.
I had car
Week one has
issues.
happened. Yeah, you had car issues. It was a mess. Everything last week it was destined for us to not have a show, but we are here after week one. My name is Jake. With me, as always, I have Adrian. Adrian, how the hell are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great, especially after a Raiders win. I'm doing great. Oh, and I am the three fantasy football teams I have. I am 1-0 in each league, so I am doing fantastic.
I'm
I
0
beat a
1.
guy by .4 of points.
I'm 0 1. The minute I saw that I was ahead by a single point and he had two guys to play Monday night, I knew I was losing. I lost by 3 points. He got 4 points off of two guys.
Who was the two guys?
Oh, let me pull it up. Oh,
Like,
I was
seriously, how did
pissed.
two guys get only 4 points?
Oh, no. Okay. Nope. It went way up since the last time I looked. I lost by 18 points.
Who was the two
And
guys
he
he had, though?
had. I'm looking at my own team. My bad. Let's see. Who did he have that played Monday night? He had Calais Campbell and
Oh,
Corey
yeah, I forgot you
Littleton.
did defense.
Yep,
Yeah, I
full
forgot you guys
defense.
did. Well, no, I am excited to jump in this. It was crazy week one. We had a ton of injuries. I'm sorry, but who the hell is in charge of for injury prevention here in teams? Because everybody's blowing an ACL at this point.
If I remember correctly, I saw this earlier today. I think 138 torn ACLs since 2016, and it's the most ever in a 5-year span.
I just want to know what is going on with these players that everybody's tearing an ACL. I know, they're making hard cuts and, putting a lot of pressure in those areas, but good Lord, how much these trainers provide any preventative work for them? Because that's ridiculous amount.
He says it could be worse, Jake. I scored the second most points in the league and still lost by 60. So he's in the league that I run. And my guy, Joe, had one hell of a week. He scored like 350 points. By far the most scored in a single week by any team in the now 1 year and 1 week history of the league.
Who does he have?
Hold up. I'll pull it up. He had, oh man. Let's see. Yeah, he had 332 points total. Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah.
Scored 35. Tyreek Hill scored 37. CeeDee Lamb scored 24. Adam Thielen scored 30. Isaiah Simmons had 21. Roquan Smith had 17. Deion Jones had 18. Denzel Ward had 11. Jalen Ramsey had 21. Jordan Fuller had 17.
Y'all and your defense craziness.
Oh, dude, this league is so in-depth. The lowest score of the week was 201 points, and most people are at the 250 range.
I was content with my 132, my 120, and my 116. Yeah.
It's a different animal when you add full defense in, man. It really is.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm like, what the heck are people scoring 300 points?
Hey, it doesn't happen often, but it happened.
Yeah,
so let's dive straight into what's most fresh on our mind. The absolute insanity that Monday Night Football game was.
Okay, on a side note to Monday Night Football games, ESPN2 runs a parallel coverage with Eli Manning and Peyton Manning doing the commentary. And they typically bring a guest every quarter, and it was literally one of the best commentating I've seen. Just the crap they give each other, the amount of jabs they give each other, and as well as the insights they have throughout the game, which was actually good.
Is that going to be something they do going forward all year?
I think so. Not quite sure, but I'm going to look it up.
Because I watched the ABC version. I didn't realize there was two different broadcasts. Mind you, guys, I had just gotten home from my music festival when the game kicked off. So I was doing all that getting home for the first time. And well, for me, it's a month because of my work schedule. So, like, I was only half listening to the game, half watching it until that last fourth quarter. He says, yes, the Mannings have a 3-year contract, but that's with
But they're only
ESPN.
doing 9 games this season. 9
Okay.
more games this season.
Not yet, 10 games. Okay, so we're going to have simulcast on 10 games this season?
Yep. I think they have next Monday night, so definitely worth the watch if you're a football
Definitely going to have to
junkie.
check it out.
But yeah, definitely worth the watch. I didn't like the ABC telecast. Granted, I didn't get home until almost halftime. I was playing flag football. So more football for me.
Hey, football. That's what life's all about.
Yep.
Oh, man.
So yeah, let's dive into
let's talk about
Monday
this.
night where I had 4 heart attacks. And
only 4? I'm impressed.
Yeah. The first quarter when I saw them down 14-0, obviously it was like, oh shoot. Quarter, it really, all my heart attacks happened in quarter 4 and overtime. It was just that point. I'm like, nope. Oh, they're gonna lose this. This is gonna be a typical Raiders loss. Oh, they have a chance. Nope. Oh shit. The guy bounced off his hands. Oh shit. The guy freaking false start. I'm like, can we stop with this? So, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was a good ending for week 1.
The touchdown that was called back. What'd you think about that?
Okay, are you talking about the overtime touchdown that was called back?
Yes.
I mean, look, replay did show he was down like by this much, and he was literally in the half-yard line. And watching the Manning coverage, and they're like, oh, anything can happen. Somebody can, have a holding penalty or a false start. I'm like, dang it, somebody just jinxed this. And sure enough, rookie left tackle or right tackle. But they were right. Why the hell do you hard count when you're in the half-yard line? Just go. Run the play. And so, brought them back 5, and then right through Snead's hands. I mean, it had a little bit of heat on it, but right through Snead's hands. I'm like, oh my God. After all that, where everybody thought the Raiders won, I'm like, shoot.
That game gave me heart attacks for you.
Hey.
And then for them to, I'm sitting here thinking, all right, it's obviously going to be a run play. No big deal. Just get to the kicker who already nailed a 55-yarder.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
All of a sudden, Derek Carr's just like, boom, and I'm like, don't do that. And it's right into the end zone.
I know. But you know what? It was crazy. The one thing I will say is, I think it was the one thing the Raiders were missing all last year, is the defense stepped it up. Look, it's not easy playing a Baltimore team with Lamar Jackson. You have to keep contained for the entire game, right? But one of Lamar's weaknesses is sometimes when he's trying to switch the ball, he's just holding it with 2 hands. He's not cradling it. And those times they got it to punch out, and that was literally what saved them the game.
100%. So I didn't know that coming into this year that the defense was going to be so good for the Raiders. I had no idea. Now, will it hold up? I don't know. I don't trust John Gruden.
Well, here's the thing. John Gruden's really not bothering with the defense. He's really putting that on Gus Bradley's plate, right? And as you know, Gus Bradley was one of the architects for Legion of Boom and really helped build that Seattle defense. One of the things that I can kind of point to that game was the 2 defensive ends were nonstop going hard at those tackles. And it showed. They got pressure to Lamar, but at the same time, look, Lamar is one of the most elusive guys to get to. So, but the fact that they made him uncomfortable, especially late in the game, was what helped out and what really, kept the pressure off the secondary.
Lamar Jackson's passing has definitely gotten better from last year to this year. He was dropping some deep dimes, which, if you listened to me at all last year, I was completely against Lamar Jackson because he's super inaccurate downfield. He is a run-first quarterback.
Absolutely.
But in this, and it could be the Raiders' defense, their secondary is not the best. It isn't.
No.
So it could be the fact that they have a weak secondary, but Lamar Jackson was able to make throws that he wasn't able to make last year.
Yeah, I think from a standpoint of accuracy, that was the biggest improvement he had. It just, he was able to diagnose the play better and lead his receivers better last night than he had, especially throughout last year. Now, I know Lamar Jackson's a pretty darn hard worker. He has a great work ethic and he wants to improve. And he's a very, very tough competitor. Like, he will compete till the end. And we saw that last year in probably the game of the year with the Browns against the Ravens in week 15, week 16. That game was awesome. Had to go number 2 real quick and throw a touchdown, game-winning touchdown. But hey, but look, is he the arm talent that even comparing to Derek Carr? No, Derek Carr has way better of an arm, way better of accuracy than he does. But can he improve to a level where maybe he's hitting 62, 63% of his passes? Absolutely. And with a Greg Roman offense, you're going to be run heavy first anyways.
Lamar didn't look like he wanted to run the ball that much last night. And when he did run the ball, he fumbled it twice.
Yeah, it was surprising to see that I thought he would run more. I really did, especially with all the injuries they have to the running back position and having really a guy that's been there 3 days and a guy that's literally a third stringer that's got put in, number 1 on the depth chart. It's like, okay, you have these inexperienced guys. But one of the things that really showed in terms of the inexperience for the running backs was the pass blocking. And when they dropped back, they did not get enough leverage on these guys coming in, or they miss assignments that made Lamar have to move and not be able to find his receivers.
Well, that sums up the Monday night game. We got a lot to talk about. We can't spend the entire first 20 minutes on Monday night.
Right. I will say, just added to Baltimore, Baltimore has a good chance to go 0-2 next week because they got the Kansas City Chiefs. That's a tough challenge.
Let's go straight into that game. The Kansas City Chiefs shouldn't have won that game.
Yeah, no.
They should not have beat Cleveland.
But we have to go back to some of the things that Baker Mayfield is still kind of trying to master, right? He had 2 drives where he had a chance to, get some points on the board. One drive ended in an interception. One drive ended 3 and out. And you look at Baker and say, okay, you're our franchise quarterback. You have to be better prepared and be able to move down the ball during these during these clutch situations.
Will Baker Mayfield ever be that guy, though?
Look, Baker is a tough competitor, right? He's competitive by nature. But does he have some of these, I would call, questionable decision making? Yeah. Sometimes he can't go for the home run play or go for the big play. He needs to be able to just manage the game and take what the defense gives him more often than not, especially in those situations.
See, I think they should be getting OBJ back next week, which I think is going to help immensely.
Having an explosive receiver is great for any team. The one caveat with having Odell back is sometimes Baker feels the pressure to get him the ball, right? And he forces throws to Odell that he shouldn't really be forcing. And so that's my only concern. Hopefully he's learned. Hopefully Stefanski can build a game plan that involves and gets Odell open so he's not having to force that throw.
So just let's talk about that real quick. Odell Beckham Jr. has played in a total of, I'm bad at math, give me 1 second, 25 games
In
since
the last
joining
3
the Cleveland
seasons.
Browns. Yep.
Yep.
He has, I'm still terrible at math, so 97 receptions for 1,354 yards.
Over 25 games. He was
Yes.
more explosive. He was better and more explosive in New York than he's. Granted, injuries obviously play a big part of that. And he just, his inability to be able to stay healthy
I don't know
has
about
been
that.
a challenge.
I don't know about that. 59 games in New York. He had 390 receptions for 5,476 yards and 44 touchdowns. He's only had 7 with Cleveland.
Yeah, I said he's more explosive in the New York offense, right? But part of that is he has been hurt pretty much a majority of his tenure in Cleveland. 25 games in 3 years. What is that? Literally a little over 8 games a year. Yeah, a little over 8 games. You're playing half the season. And obviously, the first year there, he had a little bit of dysfunction.
I don't know if I'm going to call that 3 years, because this is year 3.
Yeah, this is year 2, 3. So
he missed 1 game. Actually, he played in all 16. He only started 15 and 19. And then he played 7 last year. So he's really only missed, fucking 8, 9?
Yeah, I mean
10 now that we have the week 1 done with.
Yeah, I mean 10 games over 2 years. That's still, for your number 1 wide receiver to not be available, that's still a lot. Granted, are the Cleveland Browns on paper loaded? Absolutely, they're loaded. So they, by just sheer talent alone, should win games. Now, what's the concern with them, right? Is Baker going to take that next step to be, a serviceable, above average quarterback? We'll see, right? Sunday was a mixed bag for him, right? He had a lot of good things, and then when clutch time came, he had a lot of questionable things.
So Martin says, when you're up by 10 against an offense like Kansas City late in the 4th, you don't pass the ball, you run it.
I have to agree with that. You have a 2-headed rushing attack with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. What are you doing?
And if for some reason they can't get it, you're at least burning clock.
That's it. You know how you beat Kansas City, besides having to outscore them, is you manage the clock. Game management. You eat up clock as much as you can. You go on 7-8 minute, drives and get some sort of points. That's the only way, because they can score in a hurry and they can score fast.
100%. All right, let's pivot away from that game. Let's talk about the battle of the former Alabama quarterbacks.
Mac Jones versus Tua.
All right, let's start with Tua, because we're gonna hold off on Mac Jones for a second.
Yep.
Tua looked like he didn't progress at all over the offseason.
No, but you know what saved him? The heck of a defense that the Dolphins had. That is a very, very good defense. And obviously it helps.
Martin says that game just made me sick. Well, the ending. Well, we can't always rely on a rookie running back to not fumble the ball in the red zone at the end of the game.
Look, I heard this today during one of the sports shows, right? I listened to that throughout the day. Mac Jones played at Alabama. 90% of the time he's playing in a game at Alabama, They had the more talented roster, and they had the best players on the field 90% of the time. You're in New England now, where your receivers aren't as dominant as they are against the team you're playing. Your defense is not going to shut people down completely like your Alabama defense playing, I don't know, Arkansas. And so it's a different mix for him. He's going to have to learn that, hey, I have to manage this better, and I have to take care of the ball, especially in these clutch time situations, because the heat will be coming for him.
So, see, I don't think the problem was Mac Jones in that game. Mac Jones went 29 for 39 for 281 yards and 1 touchdown, and set the rookie record for completion percentage for a rookie in his first game ever.
Look, he wasn't the main problem, right? He wasn't the main problem. But was it cost the one mistake he had costly? Yeah.
All right, what was the one mistake he had?
Just those last couple drives where it just felt like he just had a hard time moving the ball and getting progressing on offense. I'm looking at the last few plays he had, and some of it's play calling. Obviously, it's questionable play calling, but it's one of those things where, what's the best way to say this? It's one of those things where I feel like Josh McDaniels doesn't want to put all the pressure on him. Now, I think he can handle a good amount of pressure. Good Lord, you played at Alabama. There's pressure all the time. So they have to be able to kind of take the kid gloves on these types of situations. It's boom or bust. You either win the game with 4 minutes left, or you don't.
I don't think that New England's going to open up their full playbook to Mac Jones until at least week 4. I want to talk about one thing real quick, though. If we're going to talk Patriots, how about all those offseason acquisitions? Let's talk about this new revamped offense and how they really did. Nelson Aguilar led the charge with 5 receptions for 72 yards and a touchdown. Juju Smith had 5 receptions for 42 yards. Hunter Henry had 3 for 31. And Kendrick Bourne had 1 for 17. Now, those tight ends, what was the point of big money tight ends if you're only going to go 8 for 73 yards? 8 for 73, and you're going to spend, a total of $24 million on the both of them?
I think red zone wise, they should have had more targets in the red zone. These are big tight ends that can make plays, right? They should be able to find some mismatches, match them up against a slot corner or whatnot to be able to have favorable matchups for them. Now, did they catch every single target thrown their way? Absolutely.
Yeah, I was about to say, the upside is that Jonu Smith, 5 for 5. Hunter Henry was 3 for 3.
Yep, exactly. So it's not like they missed their opportunities when it was presented to them. That being said, you have to present them with more opportunities. But I will say I was surprised that the leading rusher was Damian Harris, and he had literally almost 90% of the carries. That's unheard of.
23 for 100.
Yeah, that's unheard of. Typically, Bill likes to, and McDaniels likes to spread the wealth around. We'll see if that holds up for full season, though.
Oh, it won't. Absolutely won't. Speaking of running backs, I just want to go see if Sony Michel made a difference. One rushing attempt for 2 yards, no catches. That was
in the late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, so Sony Michel did nothing on his new team. That was just a curiosity of mine. So Mac Jones looks like he's going to be a stud. The rest of the NFL should be afraid right now that the Patriots are all the way back, but they really need to open up the playbook because there's no way the entire playbook was open.
No. Like I said, you're looking at kid gloves right now, right? Kid gloves, training wheels. Let's get him comfortable. Let's get him acclimated. Let's not put too many things in his head that's just gonna get lost in translation or make him have to make mistakes. It's not good for your rookie quarterback to lose his confidence that way.
Absolutely
so,
not.
They have their schedule. They have some games that's going to be favorable for him kind of coming up. And so that's the big thing. I think once they start playing some of these not as highly defensive coach teams, I mean, just the corners alone, you have Xavier Howard and Byron Jones that you're having to throw against every single play. I mean, like next week, they play the Jets. You can open up your playbook a little more against the Jets.
I agree. I think, like I said, I think week 4, I think it's going to be completely open by the time Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers come into town.
Yeah.
I think have to. That team's too talented.
That team's too talented defensively, and they will get after Mac Jones. So you have to have answers every single step, every single look. You have to have answers for that, and that you can't do that with a miniature playbook.
No, you can't. Where do you want to pivot? What game do you want to talk about right now?
Ooh,
I got 2 more in mind for myself, but
oh man, what do I feel we're gonna touch on this for like 2 seconds. I want to throw this out there. Sam Darnold got his revenge game against the Panthers. He did. I know he had that week 1 circled on his calendar. Ooh, the one game I did want to touch with, I watched a majority of it. Steelers against the Bills.
You did not go in a direction there's 2 games, like I said, that we got to talk about kind of thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a few games we have to talk about, but Steelers against the Bills was the heavy favorite was the Bills. They were 6-point favorite for this particular game, and it was just a different Bills team that I saw this game compared to last year. Completely different.
So Josh Allen looked about the same.
Josh Allen looked about the same.
30 for 51 with 270 and a touchdown. So he looked about the same.
But the receivers dropped a lot of passes.
Stephon Diggs had 14 targets, got 9 receptions for 69 yards. Cole Beasley had 13 targets. He got 8 for 60. Emmanuel Sanders was 4 for 8 with 52. Dawson Knox went 4 for 4. Gabriel Davis went 2 for 5. And Devin Singletary went 3 for 5. There's a lot of misses there.
Yeah, there's a lot of misses, but you also have to look. The yards per catch that they have is very much under what they're typically. You look at Stephon Diggs. He's typically between 11 to 15 a game where, yards per catch that he was having. It was just not there. Now, I will give credit to the Steelers defense. They held them down a lot of this game. They let the underneath pass go, and they just prevented the big play.
4 fumbles, only 1 lost isn't going to help anything. You got to stop fumbling the ball.
Absolutely. I mean,
Tyler Bass had a good game.
Ball security is a big, big issue in the NFL. If you can't hold on to the ball and you're giving it to the team, in the 50-yard line, there's a good chance they're going to at least get 3.
Ooh, wow.
You seem tired.
I am still extremely tired from the music festival. So, speaking of that game, Ben Roethlisberger looked exactly how we expected Ben Roethlisberger to look.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's on his last legs, right? 18 for 32, 188 yards. I just feel like he's just not wanting or can't get the ball down the field like he used to anymore. And look, let's be honest. A lot of that's attributed to that O-line. It's a makeshift O-line. It's a new O-line. He got sacked twice. There's a number of hurries. And you even look at the running game. I mean, they gave the ball to Najee Harris 16 times. He only had 45 yards.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't draft him.
There you go. Hey, it might have worked out in your favor.
I got Joe Mixon instead, who had 2 touchdowns.
There you go. That's a lot better. But like I said, I mean, this defense will keep him in games. But the biggest thing is if this offense can't move the ball, and they'll lose a plenty share of games because of that.
Let's pivot real quick to San Francisco versus Detroit. Not only did Jimmy Garoppolo have a dime of a game, but fucking Jared Goff had a dime of a game.
Hey, when you're down that much, you gotta throw it, right?
Yeah, I mean, he 38 for 57 with 338 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception, and his run game didn't help. Also, I traded for DeAndre Swift in my league, and he didn't do much for me in this game.
Okay, here's the thing that I have, and it's what is up with these teams having to throw 50-plus times? Lawrence went 50-plus times. Freaking everybody threw 50 times.
Yeah, it was a weird trend this year. Let's see if I can pull up. Let's see. Let's see how many quarterbacks threw for 50.
Dak, Brady, Josh Allen.
All right, so we got Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Derek Carr, Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, Tom Brady. And then you have Kirk Cousins had 49 and Justin Herbert had 47. So you have 8 guys over 45 right there.
That's that's not a maintainable amount of throws. Now, granted, do I understand why the Cowboys threw a bunch? Yeah, because that D-line's going to eat up Ezekiel Elliott, which they did every single time they ran it. And did they throw a bunch of short passes because they don't have a lot of time? Yeah.
The starting quarterback with the least amount of pass attempts, not including Fitzpatrick, who got injured, and so that takes Heineke out of it, is Jameis Winston, who had 20 and quite possibly had the best game out of all the quarterbacks this week.
Let's not even go there. The best game of his career. I know he didn't throw for a bunch of yards, right? But he had the best game of his career. Now, did they ask him to do too much? No, they leaned on that running game. They leaned on that defense, and they picked their spots to throw, and he was very, very efficient doing that.
So, yeah, well, let's just pivot straight to that game because the 49ers and Lions look really good for the team they have. 49ers came out with the dub. But let's pivot straight to the Saints versus the Packers, and let's open this up by what in the actual fuck happened to Aaron Rodgers?
Look, if you have the off season that he had where there's just controversy after controversy and controversy, and just, I feel like some of that motivation that he had just not quite there. I think, have you ever quit a job?
Yeah.
Or planning to quit a job and you put your 2 weeks notice in? How motivated are you in those 2 weeks?
Well, let's just say I gave my 2-week notice. They decided to screw with me a little bit, made a little bit less money. After one day, I said, all right, I ain't coming back.
Exactly. You're checking your phone more. You might be a little more checked out as far as not paying attention as much. Is this his last year? Yeah, he's like just this game. You see, he's out. Let's be honest, he's out. But who do they play next week? I mean, they probably have a bounce back game because that's just embarrassing.
Detroit.
That is just embarrassing as a Packer, just in general, and as competitive as Aaron Rodgers is, that's just embarrassing, right? So yeah, they're gonna beat up on Detroit because they can. Let's be honest.
Anybody can beat up on Detroit, except apparently the 49ers.
Yeah, they were up big early on. It's just, they kind of let their foot off the gas a little bit.
So real quick,
Randy.
before we even pivot away from Aaron Rodgers though, and before we get sidetracked, Aaron Rodgers went 15 for 28 with 133 and 2 interceptions. Jordan Love then came in because he got benched and went 5 for 7 for 68 yards.
When he came in, was the game practically over? Yeah, the defense probably wasn't playing as hard, obviously. And, Jordan Love wants to show some sort of improvement or at least fight just to say, hey, I can be a starting quarterback. So that's a little bit motivation in his end. But you're talking about a sample size when it's a blowout, right? Let's see if he's, maybe Aaron Rodgers gets hurt or something happens with Aaron and he has to start a game. Say, I don't know, I'll pick a random week. Week 7 against the Washington football team. Washington football team has a great defense. They're going to get after him. Let's see how he does in that situation, right? But I will say one of the things that the Saints did really well was also shut down the running game really, really well. I mean, Aaron Jones, I was playing a guy who had Aaron Jones. I think he had 3 points.
I am trying to find the snap count for Taysom Hill. All right, Taysom Hill only played at 35% of snaps.
Yeah, I think they used him less. They more used him as a runner, maybe a decoy.
He was all
the
decoy.
Game was.
He only had
it was a lot of it was
rushes.
decoy. Yeah, a lot of it was decoy. Just give the Packers defense a different look. But hey, is he gonna get involved as they go on? Absolutely. They'll get him involved more and more often here and there. And if Jameis obviously starts, he had a game here. That's not maintainable. Let's be honest. That's not.
That was the best thing that could have happened for the Saints, but the worst thing that could have happened for Jameis Winston himself.
Yep. Look, he put in the work in the offseason. You can tell he put in the work. But they also know we kind of have to limit you because the more you throw, the more prone you are to mistakes.
Well, it's the Bruce Arians offense a lot too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
you're throwing
known for
downfield.
Throwing interceptions.
But when he's throwing short, intermediate passes, 20 times, 25 times a game, that's manageable. Bruce Arians likes to throw the ball at least 30 times a game.
Absolutely.
But I think also at the same time, what gets lost in that 30 interceptions was he threw for 5,000 yards that year?
He led the league in passing yards, led the league in touchdown passes and interceptions.
Look, Brett Favre's done that, for God's sakes. So
he doesn't get enough credit for the year that he actually had because of those 30 interceptions.
And just the hilariousness of some of those interceptions were dude, why you
bounced off a guy's head and into the other team's arms, right through the hands of his
directly
receiver.
At a freaking defensive player.
Yeah. There was some of those interceptions were just bad throws.
Decisions.
A lot of them they should have never happened.
Yeah. But like you said, it's a Bruce Arians offense. They want to go deep, right? Everybody knows that. Every defensive coordinator knows that. They're going to play probably a cover 3, some sort of cover 2 where they keep somebody back there at all times. And when I think LASIK helped Jameis Winston a lot. So
it definitely
hopefully he can see which players are on his team better this year.
We'll use that Bruce Arians as a segue. And let's talk about the Cowboys game and Dak Prescott real quick. Opening up the season Thursday night, excitement in the air. The grass is a little greener. Everybody is waiting for this moment. I'm at Buffalo Wild Wings in Ohio because my TV in the hotel absolutely sucked. I wanted to watch football. I went to Buffalo Wild Wings. I watched the first half, and Dak Prescott looks like he is all the way back.
Look, I totally agree with you. One, because I have him on one of my fantasy teams, so I really need him to perform well. But two, look, there's two things that really worked in his favor. The game plan was very solid. They knew they weren't going to be able to run the ball, and they needed to get the ball out quickly and fast, often to move the ball. Two, you have three receivers. Obviously, Michael Gallup got hurt, but you have two top-tier receivers in Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, and they showed it. Both of them balled out. And is it tough being the first games against the defending Super Bowl champs? Yeah, that's tough for any team. So I think they'll be all right this season. The biggest thing is this defense going to hold up? I know they got 2 picks, but one of them's on a Hail Mary. So they did have a couple fumbles that they recovered too. So I think defensively,
we got some comments real quick that are not related. The best the Vikings can do is 16-1. Go Vikings! They did not have a. We haven't talked about the Vikings yet. I guess we'll move into that next. Chad says, "What's up, everyone? My fantasy team's now 1-0. Lucky you, asshole. Lucky you."
Hey, I'm right there with you.
And Brandon, once again, Rodgers' days in Green Bay numbered. No, like we said earlier, we both expected this. He didn't do anything this offseason except work out.
And hang out with his future wife. So, yeah, no. And hang out with movie stars and host Jeopardy.
I think they were married. Didn't they get married?
No, they just got engaged.
Hold on. I know who will have the answer to this. Babe. There's the answer. He's not married yet, but he spent a lot of time doing Jeopardy.
And playing golf.
There was a lot of golf.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers is getting the groove of things. He's too good of a player not to. And
hold on.
Oh,
can we talk Matt Nagy? I've got quite a bit to say. Hold up, Keith. Do you want to jump on real quick and join us to talk about Matt Nagy? Because I would really love to hear this without waiting for you to type. So if you want in, I will send you the link to the StreamYard, and it doesn't cost any money. You just have to follow the link and do all that. Let me know. I would love
Justin Fields was 2 for 2, just FYI.
I'm just saying. Send it. He said send it.
And a rushing touchdown.
You keep talking while I get this.
I mean, I'll save that game until he gets on. I think we need to talk. All three of us need to talk about that particular game. Any other game that I can pinpoint to?
Well, let's while we wait on Heath, let's finish up on the Tampa Bay. Brady looks like Tom Brady in the Bruce Arians offense. That's going to be what it is. He's gonna have his interceptions. He's gonna have his touchdowns. 379 yards. And, I mean, Antonio Brown was the standout.
Yeah.
Of all fucking people.
Look, yeah, he was the standout. There was a couple plays that, that were just uncharacteristic that happened, especially with Chris Godwin, where he missed basically a touchdown pass that literally was right there, and that fumble, right? That's very uncharacteristic of him. And if he had those, he would have had probably 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. So they have too many weapons on that offense to be bad. Mike Evans was the odd man out this game.
Yeah. Martin says, do you think there was offensive pass interference on Chris Godwin? I didn't see it in real time. I only saw the still shots of it, so I don't have an answer. Also, Heath, I have sent it to you. You have not opened it yet, just so you know.
So that's a hard for any ref in crunch time, regardless of what you call, is gonna be controversial, right? If you call pass interference, then you kind of have to look at it. Well, there's a lot of hand fighting going on, and it's a back shoulder pass, so the guy's turning, and the minute he turns, that corner has to try to come back when all his freaking momentum's going that way. that's hard to do, right? I can tell you that. I was trying to do that yesterday, and it was not easy to do, even for the top tier athletes. And pressure of the situation, yeah. Could have gone either way? Absolutely. It could have gone either way. Like, look, maybe he might have pushed off, but also at the same time, look, he might just be trying to get his hand free, right? And when he did that, it caused imbalance. So it's hard to call. You're looking at it, it's like, but that could have gone either way. I think that could have absolutely gone either way.
Like I said, at that time, I was back in my hotel in Ohio, and for some reason, they don't have the NFL. The only hotel I've ever been in that doesn't have the NFL Network. And
now
I had shit for Wi-Fi, so I couldn't watch the second half. I was following it on my phone, like, what is happening? Who's going to win?
But you're only seeing numbers and plays go up. You're not exactly
I'm
seeing.
not seeing the actual plays, so I had absolutely no idea what was actually happening.
Absolutely. Totally get it. But hey, we'll get that fixed. You're home for this week.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And then I might be going back to Columbus, Ohio, so should be fun. Left Columbus, Ohio, just to go right back. Heath is currently setting up his laptop, so he will be here momentarily. Let's talk about Brandon's comment here. The NFC North is 0-4. And the AFC West is 1-0 or 4-0.
And the NFC West is 1-0 or 4-0.
It's a give and take here, guys. There's got to be 16 teams that win and 16 teams that lose. Sometimes it just happen to be some from the same divisions.
Let's look at the matchups, though. Let's start with the NFC West because they went 4-0. Rams played the Bears. Yeah, that's a given.
Easy win.
Niners played the Lions. Yeah, that's
easy win.
Much easy
win.
Look,
by the way, now you have the explanation is the NFC North being 0-2 right there. Continue.
Yeah, exactly. That's 0-2. The Seahawks played the Colts, which the Colts are still learning everything with Carson.
I was going to say, we don't know what the Colts are yet.
No, we don't. And Carson, we always know that Russell Wilson for the first 6 games will cook the first 6 games until the defense starts breaking down and he has to do too many things. So that was a win. The biggest surprise was the Cardinals beating the Titans as bad as they did. That was
Chandler Jones had 5 sacks.
Yeah, because Taylor Lowen was basically a turnstile that game. All right, here's your ticket. Go ahead. Here's your ticket. Go ahead.
Did anybody even? I'm just checking to see if anybody else even had like 2 sacks. Von Miller had 2. Michael Pierce had 2. Jason Hargrove had 2. Chris Jones had 2. TJ Watt had 2. Yeah,
there's a number of guys.
Crosby and Hill.
Yeah, there's a number of guys that had multiple sacks. But yeah, when you're passing a ton, like most of these teams were doing, you're going to be open up to sacks. Let's be honest.
Kirby Spam over on the Twitch says the end of that Raiders game was hilarious to watch.
You know what? I was listening to like the pregame show, and one of the guys commented, this was the most Vegas game ever. It had ups, it had downs, it had surprises, it had drama, it had everything you would go to in a show in Vegas.
All right, so Heath's here. He wants to talk about Chicago. He wants to talk about Matt Nagy. Specifically, me and Heath have been going back and forth this entire time that I think Matt Nagy gets fired mid-season. I stand by that, and this first game only brings that out further. Heath, welcome to the show, my man. Let's hear what you have to say.
So I'm still not fully sold that Matt Nagy will be fired mid-season, but I'm ready for him to give up play calling. It was absolutely horrendous what happened on Sunday Night Football. Specifically, what I would like the things I would say are like boneheaded is when you're throwing swing routes to small players or running backs when you have Damiere Byrd out there blocking Jalen Ramsey. Or throwing at short yardage in Jalen Ramsey. They did not push the ball at all. I get they wanted to get the ball out fast due to Aaron Donald, but you just can't be targeting Ramsey or plays that involve blocking Ramsey.
So here's the funny thing. For majority of the game, they did really well on Aaron Donald. They did horrible on everybody else.
That is true. And the thing is, he's supposed to be this offensive guru, but we're driving down the field past the 50 7 times, and we're scoring 14 points. Like, at some point, like, he has to realize the offense got way better when Bill Lazor last year took over play calling. It was a lot better. We scored a lot more points. We were averaging over 30, and with Matt Nagy, we're averaging anywhere from 14 to 20.
And you still don't think Matt Nagy gets fired midseason?
Due to what the organization believes and the old beliefs of Virginia McCaskey, he won't get fired, in my opinion. And it's not my opinion. I wanted him gone last year. After the season was over last year, I was done. I've seen enough. I'm over him. But I'm just going off of what I believe in the organization says and will do.
Now, real quick, Brandon believes the Vikings will pull out the upset next week against the Cardinals. They have a worse offensive line than Tennessee. Expect Chandler Jones to get 6 more sacks, for crying out loud.
Dude, he's going to break the season sacks by week 5 at this rate.
Absolutely. Now, let's get back to Chicago. Let's get back to Heath. Heath, my man, I don't know if Matt Nagy makes it. I really don't.
Question, do you remember a name of Mark Trestman? John Fox?
Yes.
Yeah, they lost it. Yeah.
They made it through the season. If we can make it through those seasons, we can make it through with Matt Nagy winning or getting us in the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. The organization will have enough firm belief in it. They're old school.
It's a different – so we live in a different NFL than we did even 5 years ago.
We do.
The firing a coach mid-season when it's just not fucking working? Was that lightning behind you, or was that a cop?
That was lightning. We were having a storm in Illinois.
Okay. I just happened to see it flash. But the NFL is rapidly changing where teams are going to have to adapt. And when you're doing this bad, you need to send that message to the team. That lightning is insane, dude. You have to be able to, and you have to be able to prove, like Urban Meyer with the Tim Tebow situation. The only reason he did it the way he did was because he wanted to send a message that nobody is safe, not even his best friend. The Bears, if they want to get a good coach next, because they can get any shit coach from before to do it all again, and we're in the same situation 2 years from now. But they need to be able to prove, hey, if you suck, we will fire you when we feel you suck enough.
It's a fair assessment. Like I said, it's not my belief of like what I would do. Like I said, he would have been gone. He wouldn't even be here this year. If you're not going to elevate to what we have when you clearly shown that our offensive coordinator can, you failed.
Look, let's be honest. He's probably already lost that locker room. They're not responding to him. And as an owner, as a front office, you need to be cognizant of that, because then you'll have players leaving your team. And
it's the exact same thing that happened in Jacksonville with Tom Coughlin and Doug Marrone. Look at Jalen Ramsey. Go ahead.
Which honestly is happening right now in Jackson, from what I've heard, is there's a lot of upset or players and coaches with Urban Meyer right now, because he's taking over drills that the coordinators are running, that his hand-picked staff, and he's jumping down players and coaches' throats right now.
Look, the issue with having a college coach come into the NFL is they're used to having 100% control of the program, right? You don't have that in the NFL. You have people you answer to, and those people have billionaires they answer to. You cannot run this like a college team. You're going to lose players because these players aren't on scholarship. They're millionaires.
The thing is, with the Jacksonville situation, I think Urban's going to get 3 years. because he does have to institute, and I think any brand new coach should get 3 years. This whole David Culley is going to be one and done. Yeah, granted, Houston won this week. It was a fluke win. They're not going to keep doing that.
They're playing Jacksonville.
Exactly. But every new coach should get at least 3 years because you have to institute an entire new culture.
Absolutely.
And at the end of that 3 years is when you should get your assessment of, hey.
Look, completely agree with that. I completely agree that new coaches should get at least 3 years, right? There are rules to that exception, I feel like. If they're losing the team, if they're losing, respect, and you're hearing grumblings from the players and that they're not responding anymore to this coach, then you have to cut your losses because at the end of the day, you're just going to be a miserable team for the next 3 years if you give them that 3-year span.
Yeah, but somebody like, okay, let's take Matt Patricia for an example. What did he get? I think he had exactly 3 or 2.5 years.
Yep.
But in the middle of year 2, he lost the team. Or year 3, sorry. In the middle of year 3, he lost the team. Fired. Yep. Makes sense. Now you look at somebody like Zach Taylor. He's doing atrocious so far. Minus he had a good game this weekend against Minnesota, who has their own slew of issues. Let's talk about Minnesota real quick. Brandon, you're going to love this. I am finally ready to say that Minnesota needs to fire Mike Zimmer.
You have enough weapons offensively that you need an offensive-minded coach. I think here's the thing, too. Having Stefanski leave and not replacing him with that level of a coach is going to be something that they'll have to deal with, right? We already saw part of it last year. Now, granted, they got bailed out because, Jefferson balled out last year. And Dalvin Cook had a hell of a season. But you have to get offensively. You have to be a little bit more creative because they know what's going to happen. They're going to throw the ball to Jefferson and they're going to, run the ball with Dalvin or get the ball to Dalvin Cook. Granted, Thielen's a nice compliment, had 2 touchdowns because Jefferson was basically triple and double coverage the whole time. But yeah, I think let's see what they do, but let's see how the Vikings do by midseason, right? If they're just completely atrocious, then he's gone. But if they're somewhat serviceable, because it looks like the NFC North might be really, really weak this year, then I think they keep him, at least till the end of the season.
Let's just go through the next 5 games for the Vikings real quick.
Sure.
You have the Cardinals in Arizona.
That's
going to
be
the Seahawks at home.
That's a tough one.
You have the Browns at home.
God.
Then you finally get the Lions. You finally get a gimme game.
Yep.
And then you get the Panthers, who we don't know what they're going to be yet.
Yeah. But here's the thing with the Panthers, right? Their players like their coach, and Matt Rule is a good coach. Is Joe Brady still the offensive coordinator? I think. No.
I don't think so.
Panthers.
Yeah, he is. He's the offensive coordinator.
Yeah. So, and Joe Brady was one of the architects that helped turn around a very conservative LSU team to a very powerhouse offense when he was there. They have they have some explosive players. McCaffrey's explosive. Robbie Anderson's explosives. So they have pieces there. So I think they might surprise you. I think if there's a team that's going to surprise us this year from going from bad to good or serviceable, I think it might be the Panthers. I think they can go at least 9-8 or 8-8.
He chimes back in after losing service from us, which is why he cut out abruptly like that. The NFC North has the toughest schedule in the league. Play the 2 toughest divisions, AFC North and NFC West. And I fully agree with that. However, it's a toss-up in that division, in the entire division to begin with. Minnesota looks like Zimmer's going to lead them to the shitter again. Chicago's not going to get their shit together as long as Matt Nagy is play calling. Detroit is Detroit. And apparently Aaron Rodgers decided he didn't want to show up for football season. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time tonight.
Good Lord, that was fast.
I was going to say, I feel like we didn't even, scratch the surface. We have Saturday. We have to go live Saturday.
We do. We have way too much to cover. So, we need cover before and after game. At least we'll get the Thursday night game before.
Whew. So Saturday we'll be back sometime, probably at nighttime, probably night.
Yeah, I got to put kids to bed.
Exactly. I work around his putting the kids to bed schedule. He works around my crazy ass work schedule. So It all works out. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We absolutely adore and appreciate every single one of you. On Saturday, we will start talking. We'll cover everything we meant to cover tonight and didn't get to, like the injuries. And we will start talking about week 2 in the NFL season that I will actually get to sit down and watch. I cannot wait. I'm pumped. Adrian, are you pumped?
Dude, I'm pumped. I already got my NFL pass, so I can watch every damn game, or at least have replays and highlights of every damn game or condensed game, because it was a fun week 1.
Oh, I'm so largest football season ever. I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. But ladies and gentlemen, we will see you Saturday night. Thank you for joining us. We love you. We'll see you.